Travel is one of the biggest expenses in most people's lives. Flights, hotels, resorts, cruises. For most people, travel is something they save for, stress over, and justify. And for years, that was just accepted. Travel was an expense, period. But here's the part most people never hear. Travel doesn't have to stay an expense. It can become an asset. Not by becoming a traditional travel agent, not by hustling bookings, and not by competing with Expedia or Booking.com. It happens by understanding how access works and how access can turn into leverage. In this video, I want to walk you through how everyday travelers are turning wholesale access into income. Sometimes it starts as savings. Sometimes it becomes side income. And for some people, it grows into something much bigger. The old travel income model was simple. You became a travel agent. You booked trips for people. You earned a commission. On paper, it sounded flexible. In reality, it meant dealing with customer service, chasing small commissions, competing with massive online platforms, and trading your time for every single booking. Then retail travel sites automated almost everything: search, pricing, payments, support. Travel agents didn't disappear, but the model stopped being leveraged. If you stop booking, the income stops. That's not freedom. That's task-based income with nicer branding. The modern model doesn't ask you to sell travel. It asks you to plug into a system. Here's how it actually works. First, you gain wholesale level access to travel. Second, you use it, not hypothetically, genuinely. You travel more or you save more. Third, people notice, not because you pitch them anything, but because the results are visible. They ask questions. How did you get that price? How are you traveling like that? Instead of sending them to a retail site, you share the same access you're already using. The system tracks referrals and pays you, often on a recurring basis. You're not convincing people to buy trips. You're showing them a different layer of the travel economy. That's the shift. People aren't really looking for side hustles anymore. What they want is flexibility, portability, income that isn't tied to a desk or a schedule, and experiences that actually matter. Travel already fits that lifestyle. Wholesale access just changes who benefits from the spending. Instead of all the margin flowing upward to corporations, some of it flows back to the people actually traveling. We've seen this shift before with content creators, with affiliate ecosystems, with platform-based income models. Travel is just late to the party. Let's make this practical. Someone you know is going to travel anyway. They're already planning to spend around $3,000. If you can help them take the same trip, or a better one, for $700 to $1,000 less using access you already have, that's not a sale. That's an upgrade. If they decide to plug into the same system, and that part is optional, now a few things happen. They save money. You create a new income stream. Hotels fill rooms. No pressure, no pitching, just redirection. This isn't about becoming a travel influencer. It's not about being a guru. And it's definitely not about quitting your job overnight. But let me add some real-world context. A lot of people in our community work in IT for the federal government here in the Washington, D.C. area. They're professionals. They make good money. They're not struggling. And many of them do this part-time. They're not trying to escape their jobs tomorrow. They're building options. Some of them are quietly earning more on the side than people expect. Not because they're flashy, but because the system compounds when you stay consistent. That's important because this model doesn't just work for people who need money. It works for people who are thinking ahead. For me, I work in city government. This isn't about walking away from responsibility. I'm using travel income strategically to pay down debt, to increase flexibility, and to prepare for retirement. And here's the part most people don't think about. When people retire, they don't just stop. They start looking for something to do, something meaningful, something social, something that doesn't feel like another job. Travel fits that naturally. So for some people, this becomes a full-time replacement. For others, it becomes a bridge out of a job they're done with. And for a lot of people, it becomes a retirement strategy that actually aligns with how they want to live. Not a pension you hope lasts, not a 401k completely tied to the market, but an income stream connected to something people already enjoy: traveling. At its core, this is about owning access instead of renting convenience. Some people use it to offset travel costs. Some build meaningful side income. Some grow it intentionally to support their retirement lifestyle. Same system, different seasons of life, different goals. The common thread isn't hustle, it's leverage. Travel isn't getting cheaper, but access is changing. If you've ever looked at travel and thought, there has to be a smarter way to do this, you're probably right. If you want to understand how wholesale access works and how people are turning it into something that gives back instead of constantly taking, I'll put a link below. No pressure, no hype, just clarity.